Hey guys, um, welcome to episode 10 of Why We Love Sports. 10 episodes so far. Well, I know it's only been 10, but it felt like it's been a long time. But I'm glad I've done 10 episodes. Hope to do many, many more. So this is Double A ROM in Entertainment. Bringing you this 10th episode of Why We Love Sports. And this 10th episode, it's pretty interesting, guys. There's a lot of stuff happened this week. There's some big baseball stuff that happened this week, earlier in this week. You'll be surprised which team made the biggest moves, made the biggest noise so far this offseason. We got some NFL news, basketball news, guys. We'll check with the NFL standings last week. Basketball check early standings. Most teams played about 5 games, 4 or 5 games. Drinking hot chocolate here. Oh, I got somebody in the. And we got some NHL news. Training camps are opening, have been opened.
What's up? Can you hear
Hey,
me?
Sean.
How's it going, Aaron?
I'm doing good.
Figured I'd stop by for a few minutes. What's up? Whoa, I hear the echo.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? How's it going, Aaron?
I have to turn the volume off on my
What's up? Whoa, I hear the echo.
I have to turn the volume off.
There.
I have to turn the volume off on my
So what you'll do is you'll hook up your headset, and then it won't do that anymore. And set up your mic through the audio.
Is this better?
Let me see. Yeah, much better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How's it going?
I'm doing good.
Figured I'd swing by. I'm watching the Kentucky bowl game, even though I'm not paying that much attention to it. But yeah. You able to hear me okay? I don't think you are able to hear me okay, are you?
I don't know. I was talking about. I was just gonna talk about baseball first.
Yeah. My Reds are selling everybody, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
They're actively trying to trade Sonny Gray. They're actively trying to trade maybe Suarez, maybe Luis Castillo. They've got all these team-friendly deals, and they're just unloading everybody. And I'm like, what could they possibly get back that would be better than these team-friendly deals? They would have to get back gigantic hauls for all of them. But that's really the extent of baseball that I've paid attention to outside of the Padres very clearly going for it all.
Well, the NL Central division in 2021, because there's a lot of players that are going to leave that division. You got Josh Bell leaving. Your Reds are probably selling everybody. The Cubs are getting weaker. It might be an 85 to 88 win team that makes the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we got very lucky for the Reds fans this year, because the shortened season helped them get into the playoffs and the new playoff format, which I'm all for. I like the new playoff format. What did you think of that this year?
I liked it. I think in the future we'll get more revenue, even though I don't know what the future is for this year, because I don't think we're getting the stands, especially in the first half of the season. But I like having was it 7 or 8 teams this year? I think it's good.
Yeah. It gives you more of a reason to stay invested into the season late into the season too, which I appreciate because as a Reds fan, you don't really have that very much. Like it by June or July, it's like okay, well you hope next year is going to be okay, and it never is.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Reds. I know they made moves last year, but nobody anticipated a pandemic happening,
Yeah,
and they're gonna lose like they're gonna lose two of their starters. They've already lost one to San Francisco,
yeah.
and then Bauer, like I don't know. Apparently, Bauer's asking 36 to 40 million. I'm like, no. I'm like, you're a good pitcher, but not for that much, because he's only like proven kind of 2 years, and where a guy like Garrett Cole, even though he struggled in Pittsburgh's last season, he really turned it around for in Houston. And
Yeah.
Garrett Cole was much higher value than Trevor Bauer. But teams are gonna overpay because there's only a few teams in the free agent market that can spend, like the Blue Jays, the Mets, I believe the Angels, and well, I guess the Padres didn't really spend except against the guy from Korea, but they traded for very good contracts with San Diego and with not San Diego with Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay that was a steal.
Yeah, it was.
And Darvish had a good half season, but Darvish you don't know what you'll get.
And I think that's a little bit the same with Bauer. Like Bauer's always had good stuff. It's just a matter of, like you said, there were 2 seasons. And this one, as much as I love Trevor Bauer and I'd love to keep him, it was 11 games. And even the other season that he was a shutdown starter, he started 27 games. So he missed like 5 or 6 starts throughout that period. Other than that, he's been like a 4+ ERA pitcher during the most of his career. Now, if the Reds re-sign him, I'll be super happy. I don't care. I want the guy. But if I were him, I'd be signing a big long-term contract for as much money as I can because next year that he might have another 4 ERA season based on his track record.
If he goes to the American League, there's a good chance he'll go up because usually National League pitchers, and when they go to the American League, the ERA tends to go up, except for Garrett Cole, which actually went the opposite way.
Yeah. and I hope that they adopt the universal DH. I didn't used to want them to, but now I kind of do. But
yeah,
the
I don't want
Darvish
my
thing,
pitchers getting hurt.
What is it? Sorry.
I don't want my pitchers getting hurt winning the bases.
Yeah. Now, if there's a guy like Michael Lorenzen that can do a little bit of everything, I'm all for that. Let him do whatever he wants. But also, if you get rid of the universal DH, you won't have to rely on that as much. You won't have to have guys like Michael Lorenzen pinch running nearly as much as they did in the past. But yeah, you had mentioned Darvish. He's had some okay years in the past too. I mean, a lot of it I know is before this year. His best season was before he missed that full year because he was a perennial all-star. Then he got hurt and he just wasn't quite the same after that until this year. But I mean, he's 33 and I wonder how much, like, I don't think he's ever going to be better than he was last year, ever.
No, but he's going to San Diego, right? It's a pitcher's ballpark, so he might not being bad as he was in previous years, except for this last season. But I don't know. I still think the Dodgers are the favorite because they've been doing this for years.
Of course.
But I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego wins the NL West. It won't be a shocker.
What do you think of what the Cubs got back for Darvish?
They got Zach Davies. That's a solid guy. I mean, 4 or 5 pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't know how much on the prospects. I heard the prospect pool they got back from San Diego wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It seems like Chicago just wanted to get rid of Darvish's salary, right?
Yeah.
Where the prospect pool for Snell, I know one of the pitchers is in the top 100, but the thing is, San Diego has tons of prospects, and they didn't give up the top prospect, especially their pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, who's supposed to be their number 1 pitching prospect. They didn't give up for a guy like Snell because Snell has 3 years left, right? Usually when you have a pitcher that has that long term, you want to trade up for a top prospect. Like Chris Sale went to Boston, but Boston gave up their top prospect, Yoko Mikata, for Sale. And Sale had one of the cheapest contracts for an ace, but look at Sale now. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the Reds and I'm like, my God, guys, why are you all trying? Because Eugenio Suarez and Sonny Gray are on amazing contracts for the Reds. So the only reason I would want them traded is if they get something like too good to be true. If they get like half the farm system or something like that, they would have to get something so insanely good, because I couldn't believe Suarez even signed that contract when he did.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still got like 4 or 5 years left on that thing. And he ended up having, I can't remember, I think a pretty decent season last year. Well, he not as far as batting average, but I mean, he still had 15 home runs in like 50, 55, 56 games. So that was pretty solid for him, especially in today's baseball where it's almost home run or nothing. But they have him for, they've got him for 5 years, 4 years, and a team option. And that team option is $15 million. That's a good price even.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, Suarez really became a very reliable player, became one of the best players on the Reds. With Sonny Gray, won a good contract. If they're looking to trade him, make sure they trade him to a team that's not like in New York or LA or Chicago, because from what people say in the baseball world is that he doesn't do well under big city teams, the big cities. So that's why the Reds were perfect. Oakland was perfect. When we went to the Yankees, that was a different story. Well, when you pitch for the Yankees in general, you either cave or you do well. Like Randy Johnson, for example, wasn't, even though it was end of his career, he didn't do well in New York.
Yeah, man, I forgot he even pitched for New York, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. He did okay in like 05, but 06, oh my God, it was not good. But then he went back to Arizona and had a couple of decent seasons too. But I mean, he was in his 40s. I mean, that may have had something to do with it, but gosh, I completely forgot he even pitched for New York, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and Schilling was at Boston. That 1-2 punch in Arizona, well, that was lethal.
So, like, what are you looking for? Who do you think takes it all in baseball in 2021? Because I mean, I would love for the Reds to pull off a miracle and re-sign Trevor Bauer. That ain't happening. But they've got some contracts that were supposed to be good and didn't end up being good, Moustakas and Castellanos. But to me, I'm just like, get me to the playoffs and I'll be happy with them. But who do you think's going to win it all?
Well, if the Yankees get DJ LeMahieu, if they re-sign him, which I think they will, and if they stay healthy and they upgrade their pitching, their back end of the pitching, I think they're the best team in the AL, because I think Tampa Bay is going the other direction, especially getting rid of Snell, and they got rid of one of the relievers, but that's Tampa Bay, right? So they get rid of every good player because they can't afford them. Houston's going the other direction. If they lose Springer, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
Chicago's on the upswing. I think they're a playoff team. They might win the Central. Cleveland's going the other way. I think Minnesota has to do a lot of work, especially upgrade their rotation. They have to re-sign Cruz. Cruz was a big player for them. So I think the Yankees, if they're healthy, are the favorites.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I'm excited for it. I mean, I don't know how this season will look. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Bruins.
Oh, wow. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, the Bruins. What's the division they're in? The East?
Yeah. Char is now a Capital, which is kind of sad. I saw Aaron's message. I was on my way home from work, and I rushed down here, and I was like, yo, I might as well get on while the Dong Lord's on and kick off, considering I'm not wearing that damn Bengals jersey.
I don't know a whole lot about hockey, so I'm on an island all of my own on this one. You guys are the hockey guys.
Well,
yeah,
I
so
mean, for you,
there's 4 divisions in hockey.
Well, yeah.
So there's the North Division, which is basically the Canadian division. There's the East Division, which the Boston's in. Who's in Washington? Both New York teams.
Everything on the east side of the country, basically, it's all divisionized. You know, it's kind of like
the Central South Division.
Like, yeah, it's like football with the AFC North, South, East, and West. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
but
it's very complicated.
Bruins took a huge hit though with Char going to the Capitals. That was kind of a big deal. Now they're going with the youth movement.
Yeah, but don't worry, the Capitals have no goalie. Who's going to stop the puck for them?
I don't know, but I'm excited for football, at least for playoff football. That's for damn sure.
Wish I was.
The NFC East could be decided tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, Cam Newton was kind of okay. I mean, I was hoping Sony Michel would have a big year. That kind of fucking fizzled. A lot of fantasy stuff I picked wasn't that great. So I mean, it is what it is sports wise. I'm hoping for I'm pulling for San Diego for the Padres though for baseball, just because of the fact that my dad's a transplant from Boston and lived out there for a while and stuff. I'm a huge Braves fan just by the nature of being down there for a while. Atlanta's beautiful, by the way. It's a great city. But I know I'm going against the grain with, Cincinnati and stuff like that. But I really think the Padres, if they do it right, they could have a really good run next year.
Who'd you say? Sorry.
The Padres.
Oh yeah, gosh, they're doing everything they can right now. They're going above and beyond. Like, I couldn't believe that they were doing everything that they were, or at least trying to do. I mean, that's got to feel good. I just hope it's not like for them. I hope it's not like it was for us, where it's like, okay, we're getting free agent. We're trading for big pitchers, and then a year later, it's like they fizzle out, or you're getting rid of them, and that's a bummer.
Well, for the Red Sox, though, it's sad, even though you yelled at me about the lookalike thing, Pedroia is not going to be in their lineup anytime soon.
He's retired, isn't he? Didn't he retire?
No, there's no announcement of retirement.
Oh.
I'm hoping he does retire and becomes a bench coach, because I could see him and Veritek running the team if Cora doesn't do a great job halfway through. I think Cora is on a short leash, and with the talent they have on there, they should do a lot better. It stinks. Bet's gone all the way to LA, but it's one of those things that I think they need to improve. And the young movement that they have on there, Ben Attendee, you've got Jackie Bradley Jr. I'm a homer on this, but still,
he's a free agent, Bradley, isn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's a free agent, Bradley Jr.
But
I don't think Pedroia will announce his retirement until at least after this year, because he's still got that $12 million.
I know the Red Sox get still hit.
Yeah.
I know they need pitching, though.
Yeah.
If Sales is healthy after Tommy John, then that should be okay. But, I mean, there's talks around here that everybody wants Lester back, and that would be huge because Lester did a really good job when he was here. So, I mean, yeah, he's in his mid-30s now, but still, you have Chris Sale and John Lester. Big pitch John Lester, if you have an ounce of what he had when he was in Boston originally during his run, you have a good 1-2 punch right there. I could equate if they do this, it'd be the same thing as Schilling and Pedro all over again during the 04 run.
Yes, I do think he will sign with the Yankees. I think money is the problem right now, because the Yankees, as much as they're known to be spending a lot of money every year, they're planning not to go over the luxury tax this year, because they're the one of the teams that actually lost money. So they're in a gap with LeMahieu, but I still ultimately think he'll resign with them. Yeah,
they're the evil empire regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
If you walk around Boston, all you hear is Yankee this, Yankee that. It's the honest truth. It's just like anybody else who has a huge rival.
Fellas, I'm going to hop off here, watch the last few minutes of this Kentucky game. Good to talk to you guys.
Nice seeing you, Sean.
See you guys. Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome. Come by anytime.
But I think that the Yankees, if they're staying underneath the luxury tax, they're going to have to cut a lot. It's a possibility that, some of those players will leak out into other teams. Even Cincinnati, they could leak some of these releases if they have to cut some of it. Would it literally be doing it? Especially if MLB doesn't keep the COVID, what was it? The COVID injury report right around there.
I don't know what it is.
The injury
list. I forget what it's called too.
But if they don't keep that, that's going to impact them even more, because the rosters are going to be even, wider and money-wise, depending on how much talent they have. I mean, at this point in baseball, I see whoever has the deepest farm system is the one who's going to capitalize the most. So I'm hoping Boston does well in the free agent signings. It's yet to be seen, but we'll see what happens.
I think Springer will be signing with by the end of this month. I don't know. I don't know about I think Bauer's gonna go into February, but I think the LeMahieu and Springer are gonna end up signing this month.
I think whoever has the most money will control the market, and that's a noble thing, like every year.
Yeah, like Springer right now, what the reports are saying is down to the Mets and the Blue Jays, but apparently he's looking for more money than both teams are offering him, so there's a kind of a gap there.
But how do you think the Boston markets are going to do this year, considering the Pats are not that great right now? Hockey's going to be starting up, but Char's gone. You still have on the Bruins though.
Celtics.
It's kind of hard with them in this market where it's like 1 minute it's hot, cold. Patriots obviously are the kings in this so far, but with the season it could drop a little bit. I
You
kind of
think Cam
hope
Newton's coming back?
it's kind of hard. I'm hoping that they do something positive, but right now the way it is, it's looking at everybody's starting to get more hyped about the Bruins than anything else.
If I was him, I would draft a QB in this draft.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt they need a solid backup if they keep Newton on his option.
Yeah.
Stedham's not going to cover it. They need somebody like a solid fullback. They have to go with the I position all the time for the Patriots and I love Sony Michel, but you need a secondary option, a workhorse in there, because now with football, the running game is more impactful than anything.
Oh yeah, Jack Hughes and the Devils. Yeah, I thought he'd be better in his rookie year too. He was supposed to be like Matthews, McDavid coming out of the draft, but that didn't happen.
It's going to be interesting to see where all these teams lie, especially where it's from the top of the draft for the NFL draft all the way to the bottom.
Yeah,
I think since the way if it is the seedings right now, I think New England's going to be in the middle of the pack for the draft, and Belichick has not had a high draft pick since Gerard Mayo when he picked him 8th overall years ago. But a lot of their first round picks they've hit. I mean, started all the way from Ty Law all the way up, from that point on. I know Law wasn't a Belichick pick, but utilizing the people he had that were first round picks, and it's insane. And look at Brady. Brady was a 6th round pick, and they nailed that obviously for 20 years almost. So it's like it's a best of both worlds when it comes to New England sports. But the one thing I'm hoping most for is the Bruins to take over the East, especially when you have McAvoy as young as he is, how good he is. And then you still have Patrice Bergeron in his prime. You have Marchand in his prime. And the only problem they have is the goalie, because Rask is gone. So he's almost literally gone. So it's like, yeah, you have to figure out what to do from there. But a lot of people are more hyped about not the draft, not the Red Sox. The Celtics, they're wavering, but they're all high on the Bruins. And I can't blame them at this point.
well, Celtics don't have Walker right now.
It's mostly a young team compared to if you had to pair, like, look at LA, they have all these stars, but I mean, Tatum's is a star on the rising. They're calling him the next Paul Pierce. So, I mean, it makes sense, but you need somebody to balance out for a big three in this market and to get that 08 magic, or in wrestling terms, the shine off of it. But I'm hoping something big happens. Now, I literally think market-wise, I think the NHL has more pull on it because during the COVID season, they were more successful, in my opinion, because there were more eyes on it, especially with that bubble that they had. It made more eyes on it compared to basketball. Now, me as a fan, I'm obviously a football fan, a baseball fan, an all sport fan basically, but I paid more attention to the hockey than I did with baseball this year and football for the first time in a long time. And it's not because everybody's like, it's like everybody's gonna be like, well, throwback's a fair way. The fan, he only supports only certain. No, dude, if the Thrashers were still around, I'd be freaking cheering on. And this is how old I am because of the old Garden. Hartford Whalers. They're now they're the Hurricanes right now.
Yeah,
They were the matches against them. If you want to go back and YouTube it, against Boston was insane, especially when they were like miles apart from each other. I want that again. I want that type of NHL where you could go from a town which is go from a city like Hartford into Boston, and you're literally about 100-mile difference away from each other, and you beat the crap out of each other because you want to be, in your region, the best in there. And the way the whole brackets in hockey is set up, I'm excited more for something like this. And I'm also curious about the Krakens to see how they do.
Not this year. I think they're next season.
I think that's why the realignment was set up the way it is. Because
you think there's a permanent realignment, or
I think it's a
not just for this
permanent.
year?
No, I think it's a permanent realignment because of the fact that you have Seattle coming into the West, and it makes more sense to do a permanent realignment like that because now you can segregate each section of it. I honestly think certain markets can be developed because with the amount of teams that they have now, I think you could probably put another team in the East. No, in the South. In the East. They need another team in the South actually too.
Yeah.
But I think somewhere kind of like, where, Sean's region is that would be a great Louisville. That would be awesome just because of how many people gravitating towards it. You could have the average Kentucky fan, Wildcat fan go into curious about hockey. You could try to bring somebody in San Diego. That would be interesting. You need something where you can have a feud, an in-state feud. And honestly, if they did this would be so amazing for me is Manchester in New Hampshire. Because the only other teams in hockey that they have there is the Hockey East. Do you follow the Hockey East a little bit?
No. I follow. I know in Connecticut, Hartford has the AHL team. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well, the Lowell used to have a team, and it used to be called the Lock Monsters. Now they went up to Manchester for the AHL. But Hockey East is huge here, and a lot of these hockey players that are coming out of East from BC, BU, UMass Lowell, UNH.
Yes, I know about that.
Yeah,
hockey is big in there in the Boston, Massachusetts area.
So just picture you putting a professional team in. You would have to do some maneuvers with the AHL thing and stuff like that. You could put the AHL team back into Lowell. But I would love to see an inner New England rivalry again, like they had with the Whalers. And the only place I could think of, just because of the distance between that area, considering there's no professional team in New England, would be Manchester, New Hampshire. And that would be perfect because you could draw from Maine. If Montreal comes in, Toronto comes in and stuff, they can come straight down there. I mean, New York, Boston, and stuff like that. I mean, it would be the best rivalry for a new team that you could put in there in the short term. It's like wrestling. It's like the high air baby face that you have against all these villains, and he's going against all of them, and he's holding his own.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Thanks for wishing us Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too.
Thanks, Ron. I mean, it would be insane. Hell, I would cheer for Louisville team too. I mean, they need to
Cincinnati, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they have to look at these markets where you could utilize some of this stuff. I mean, Boston already has multiple teams. The market's the 8th or 9th, 10th media market in the country. I mean, look at up and down and see that list of all the media markets that are up and down that has teams like hockey teams or stuff like that, and you'd be shocked how many don't. And you don't want to oversaturate it, but still.
That's what I know about hockey in the U.S. I know how people say hockey is not popular in the U.S., and I'm like, no, they're wrong. It's popular in the northern part of the U.S. We're from the East Coast, basically all the way to the West Coast, but the north part. You could go through Boston, it's Massachusetts, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut,
it's
Minnesota,
basically
Wisconsin.
The Big 8.
That's where it's popular.
It's the original 8. And literally I wouldn't be shocked that if, they decide in the NHL to put 2 more teams in there and they look at the Bruins and be like, hey, you can't monopolize one section of the country. and they decided to either put one. Originally, they were supposed to put another one back in Hartford, but they gave them the AHL. And I wouldn't be surprised if they move it all the way up to like Manchester. I'll even throw Portland, Maine up that, somewhere up those where people can actually get to these games. It'd be fun, especially with Vermont right there after COVID, because you have all that stuff. Go from Vermont, you go from up in Canada, all the way around these places, and it would be interesting. Well, you live in Florida, so that says it all. Sorry, Ron. Don't hurt me. But
yeah, but if Tampa Bay is a losing team, I guarantee you fans won't go. And most of the time when those stadiums are filled in Tampa and Florida, they're probably fans from other teams. Because when I watch my Leafs play in those stadiums, in those arenas, in those towns, and especially where the Panthers play, it's more than 50% Leaf fans, and I'm sure it's the same with Boston.
Yeah, it is, and I'm hoping that they do something. I mean, I love hockey right now, and it's been a long time to say that.
Are you watching the juniors?
I don't get the juniors here that much. I'm trying to follow a lot of stuff at the same time, so
yeah, the quarterfinals are today. I think the U.S. is playing. I'm not sure who the U.S. is playing. I'll check. I know Canada's playing Finland. Let's see who the teams are playing today. I know there's a game going on now. So Russia beat Germany. Oh, United States play Slovakia at 10:30 p.m. Canada in the Czech Republic, and Finland in Sweden. Okay.
You have me looking up Hockey East right now. Right now, today, Hockey East already started, but
yeah, you're right. One's right.
A couple of pretty good games that are on Hockey East if you want to take a look at it. But tomorrow is a huge game. UMass versus Maine. It's at 6. It's not on televised, but the North.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, the thing about college hockey is not very popular, like where football and basketball is.
I used to work at the arena, the Songus Arena here, that is now run by UMass. UMass Lowell, and it's huge here. So I mean, the one game, a couple of the games here that I'm looking at right now, just in this month, you have BU versus Maine. That's a huge rivalry in Hockey East. Boston College versus UMass Lowell is in this month. Maine. Bunch of really good matches, and then the Bean Pot's coming down the pike. So it's like, I'm hoping one day, with the Bean Pot itself, that they expand it, because the Bean Pot only carries covers Harvard, BU, BC, and Northeastern, and I would love to see them expand that into like UMass Lowell, UMass, and then some of the Hockey East major ones up here until they get into the tournament. Are you excited though for March Madness coming up? I mean, we just got into the new year, and now all these, are setting up for March Madness now. So who do you see getting into that pike?
I am. I hope that they're able to get the March Madness.
I'm just hoping we get to go through COVID unscathed anymore. I'm sick of this stuff. I mean,
yeah, man. I think we're on the right track through COVID. I mean, it's not gonna like the first few months. It's gonna be slow. I think probably like around summer and fall, we'll probably see like a decline. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
That's what I was saying. But the thing is, the U.S. is not. The U.S. is failing behind on their projections of how many people were supposed to get doses this December, right? They're supposed to dose 20 million, but only got like 3 million. It's like 15% of people, and but I think it's starting to pick up. So that's good. I hope.
If you want to put a smile on your face, I think this is the first stream I've done in the new year. If you make me smile a little bit, because there was no show.
See, sports is trying to get me through this year. I mean, like now basketball, like football is coming to an end, but the playoffs are here for starting next week, and that's when the World Rumble is taking the week off. For the football week when the football week is off, that's when the World Rumble is, like, as in every year, right? because it's a 2 weeks in between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. That's when the Royal Rumble happens, and so that's smart on WWE.
Yeah, it is, and it gives the casual fan something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of things that are in my head that obviously they're going with Kevin Owens versus Roman still, and then people are saying that Daniel Bryan win. I mean, they could hold off having Seth in there and pull a John Cena, where John Cena was the 30th at Madison Square Garden at the Rumble, and they could pull that off. I mean, there's so many moving parts.
Yeah,
Goldberg
They got 4 weeks. You can build up multiple superstars to win the Royal Rumble, not just Daniel Bryan. Build up multiple on both women and men. You got 4 weeks.
Hey Warren, if you're listening, yeah, they could bring Goldberg in. But
wasn't Goldberg get a Royal Rumble? He got eliminated like 3 years ago.
I think that if Owens gets hurt, Vince is going to hit the glass ceiling and have Goldberg come in for the Rumble. That would make more sense to have him do a Rumble match as one of his two, because there's not going to be any. Let's be blunt. There's not going to be any Saudi events this year. There really isn't. And if they do, they're insane. Yes, they're losing it, and it'll show up in the fourth quarter earnings. But still, man, it won't make any sense to actually turn around and have Goldberg doing another Saudi match. Now, the match I'm looking forward to is seeming like they're setting up is an Orton Fiend 2.0. And after Alexa doing what she did, dousing herself with gasoline on Monday, that was interesting. I'm actually interested in seeing that compared to whatever was even on the card. I know a lot of people are huge in the Rumble, but I think that might be the match that steals the show, and it could be set up.
It's supposed to be another gimmick match.
Yeah, but I think but the other match that I'm highly looking forward to is the second Fight Pit, and I'm curious to see if it has that potential that it did with Thatcher and Riddle. And to me, that match was match of the year in 2020. So I'm hoping to see that these two could tear apart and Thatcher could actually do it again. I mean, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be interesting to watch. But like I was saying on the podcast that I did a couple of weeks ago, that with the title match, though, with Finn, you have multiple people lined up to take a shot at Finn, and you have the longest reigning NXT champion sitting in the background in the distance waiting. You know how scary that is to have Adam Cole sitting in the background, the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, in the shadows, especially when he's in the shadows with Ciampa and Gargano. Gargano and Ciampa don't need it, but I know it would make more sense to give Ciampa the belt and go from there. But just think about how insane it is. You have Cross there, you have O'Reilly, you have so many options. It's ridiculous.
Remember the teasing?
Yeah.
On this past NXT?
It's got so many options to bite on that. And it's the same way with the women's division. You have so many good ones.
Stacked women's division.
I'll even put this name in there because she's injured, but she might come back by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised. Tegan's going to be in the shadows too at some point, and they're going to hint at her coming back. Maybe, I mean, depending on how long the injury is, I could see her coming in about a year from now, like around Christmas, around then for a takeover, coming out of nowhere. And if Io's the champion, or whoever's the champion at that point, because the draft could take Io up to the main roster onto Raw and face Asuka. It could be multiple insanities. I can see Tegan taking over the NXT title when she's 100% healthy, and that would be awesome.
I think first, I could see that, but I think first she has to get revenge on Candice LeRae.
I think if you give Tegan the belt in the end of 2021 and into this year, it feels weird saying that now.
Yeah.
That she can have Candice saying, I want a shot because I took you out. It will be like, it gives Tegan the reason to have the belt, but it gives Tegan even more credibility that the person who took her out, she gets revenge on and actually justifies her title run. Because Rhea did that and And Charlotte did that at the triple threat and you're at the In Your House pay-per-view when Io won it. That validated that. And then the following match with Rhea down the line with Raquel and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I'm
I
picking
think
Raquel to win though, on against Rhea. I think Raquel's gonna win.
I don't think they're going to do that just yet. I think that Rhea is not done with her. So I think Rhea is going to put herself into that position where she's going to be like, do I want the title or do I want my revenge? And I think going into the Rumble, we will see what happens. I don't think there's a takeover this time. I haven't looked at the schedule yet.
No, takeover yet.
Okay,
No.
so I could see them going into the Women's Rumble and Rhea seeing Raquel and they both destroy each other.
I didn't think of that. That's possible. I mean, Raquel Gonzalez, if she's in that Royal Rumble, I know we know what Rhea could do, but if Raquel Gonzalez is in that Royal Rumble, we see what she's doing in NXT, but in Rumble against on the main roster, they have to make her look even stronger.
I honestly believe this is going to be the Rumble is going to be not a toss up this year, which is interesting because the last one last year was everybody knew who was going to win, but I think this year's Rumble it's narrowed down to two people. And if the pattern's going the right way, I'm sorry, Sasha has the belt. And if you look at there's a pattern, Becky won, Charlotte won. You can't do it with Sasha, Bayley. And that's the pattern they've gone the last 3 years. The last 2 years.
Bayley or Bianca. I think it's Bayley or Bianca, one of those two.
If the pattern holds up, it's going to be Bayley because they're going with the 4 horsewomen year to year. So next year in 2022, Sasha will not have the belt. You can record this and mark this. Sasha will not have the belt, as much as it pains me to say this, in 2022 at the end of this year, and will win the 2022 Royal Rumble. If this pattern holds up the way it is, and Bayley is the last one with Bianca, Bayley's going to win the Rumble, and that pattern will continue because they want to give each one of these 4 horsewomen. Yeah, I know someone's in the front door. Ring doorbell. If you look at the pattern of where these are going, there is a definite pattern. Becky wins, Charlotte wins. There's 2 left to have to win the Rumble out of the 4 horsewomen before they decide to figure out. Ronda could be a surprise entry, but she's hurt.
I don't think Ronda's coming back.
No, I think she's going to come back, but I think it's going to end up being one of those things that is going to be the latter half of the year. They really want to pull that.
If things get better, I could see this is my future women's title match. I have 2 for WrestleMania 2022. If they go back to LA in 2022, if everything is fine, if COVID's gone, and we can get back to normalcy, I have 2 title matches I'd like to see. Either Ronda versus Shayna Baszler. I know they're friends, but in wrestling, there's no such thing as real friends in wrestling. Or Shayna Baszler versus Charlotte.
I think the way, if this, like I said, if anybody looks at it, there is a pattern to this. And if they break this pattern, that would be awesome. But I think Ronda is going to be winning a Rumble at some point in order to put pressure on it. If they do that, and a good theory is that, and I have a feeling that they want to do a WrestleMania in Boston. The last one was WrestleMania 14, 1998. That's the last time it was. And yes, everybody's going like, well, Boston's cold weather or stuff like that. I think against
SummerSlam, though, the next SummerSlam.
I think that could be a possibility, but I think they want to really put one in Boston badly, and they want to put it in Foxborough because of the fact that how big the stadium is. I wouldn't be surprised they push, instead of doing it early April one year, they push it into mid-April, towards literally almost closer to May where it warms up around here, so they can have that impact with fans. And you're drawing fans from around the world, but it's much convenient to go to Foxborough, and you can pull people up from Connecticut, New York, and stuff like that. It's an easier commute. But the numbers they were expecting before, and this is just me guessing, before COVID hit for for SummerSlam weekend, they were looking at maybe enough business to last the city for about a year and a half in a budget. And that when COVID hit, it was like, okay, we're hoping for it, and then they just called it. But I could literally see WrestleMania 40 being in Boston, and it'd be at Foxborough at Gillette Stadium mid-April.
40.
Yeah, I could see that. But I'm saying, like, just to give it time. Another thing they could do is they could put it in the Fleet Center. Well, not the Fleet Center, the TD Garden, and go back to a stadium, arena style kind of thing like they did, and go from there. But you never know.
I don't like I when WWE came to Toronto before the Air Canada Center and Vico Coliseum where the Marlies played. They used to have their shows at the Skydome Water Center. It's not a good venue. Football arenas and baseball stadiums are not a good venue for wrestling because of how far back everything is. Where basketball / hockey arenas are perfect for wrestling.
It'd be perfect to talk about a stadium, because if you see Fenway Park, it's different. It's not Fenway like these perfect. Huge thing. It's more enclosed. You have the monster, you have the outer side, and you can bring people in and have the ring in the center. But just picture having the view of watching a match on the Jumbotron, and then you're literally on the Green Monster sitting there watching a WrestleMania. And they could build it up being like a Paul Revere historical thing, nobody has never done this before, kind of, you have somebody from Boston, like have Sasha win the title in Boston, and make it like the main event of a historical kind of thing, But they could do it at Wrigley one time. They could do it on all these places, these old stadiums. I mean, if Yankee Stadium was still around, the original Yankee Stadium, they would pop that in an instant. Vince's father loved doing Madison Square Garden and the Boston Garden. That has been a known fact. That family loves Boston. Hunter is from New Hampshire, so I mean, there is a connection. There's a deep connection.
The northern eastern part of the U.S. They love WWE. You can clearly see in the audience from different parts of the U.S. how big it is in the north compared to the south and the mid central and stuff.
If you look up and down their roster, half of those people are from Boston, have either performed in the Boston area, not as part of WWE, not as AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, or anything like that. Or they've trained in the area. Cena, Kofi, Sasha. Sasha was part of Chaotic Wrestling. She wrestled 2 blocks away from here in my house in Lowell. So, I mean, and in the arena too.
Hello. Hey, Jobber.
He trademarked it to Distractions #1 fan. Oh my God, Jobber, you're making my day. I wonder how I could get him to do that for your show and mine. That'd be awesome. But there's so many good, talented people in the pipeline. And look, Dijak's from Worcester. I mean, Olney's from South Boston. I mean, the list goes on, and it's amazing to see all these talents. And every place is a hotbed. Chicago, New York, it's the same way with sports. You find all these talented people. If you had to tell me 20 years ago that half of these people that play hockey that grew up in New England, in the Big 8 areas, Chicago, all that stuff, half of the NHL that's domestic talent would be coming from them, I would have told you were crazy.
Yes, Jobber. Distraction is making people smile. I like it when they talk about the basketball season.
I just like them talking about anything. Everything's good. By the way, go check out the Twitch channel for Fightful. They're doing their launch tonight.
Really? Oh, so okay. Did they have any games planned yet, or not yet?
I have no clue, but I'm gonna tune in
tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the Raptors.
8:00 tonight on Twitch. Twitch.com.
Oh, what do you think of the? Did you watch? Did you watch the Not Alabama. Alabama won. Did you watch Clemson versus Ohio State? I know it's going on during SmackDown, and that's why SmackDown won't do well in the ratings this Friday because of that game.
I'm interested in watching it just because of the fact that I want to. One, I like watching college football. It gives me something interesting to watch. Two, I kind of want to rag on John from Wrestling Plug Inc. because he's a huge South Bend from there. He's a huge Irish fan.
Oh yeah, Irish are never gonna win that game.
But I would just love to see, Ohio State run the table and do really good this year.
8 p.m. Eastern. Okay.
For one thing,
Thank
though, I would love to see BC do something in the next year or two and get up there. I think the last time BC was in the top rankings was Matt Ryan's year, and you know who the running back was?
No.
Kofi Kingston.
Oh really? I didn't know
Yes. He played BC football. You could even look it in the bio.
I didn't even know he played football. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised the West. A lot of wrestlers play football. I didn't know he was a running back.
He was also a state champion wrestler, a 4-time state champion wrestler in high school, in Winchester, Mass. And that's supposedly his parents still reside. I don't know, but it's going to be fun to see Ohio State win.
They're facing Alabama, right?
Yeah, and
Josh Fields.
but I'm hoping that they get something for the national championship where you have Notre Dame and Ohio State fighting for it. And for me, that would just be fun to watch because we have 2 friends in our community that are huge college fans. Jesse Davin, who's an Ohio State fan, and
they face the Canes. The Rock's team. That's the Rock played for, right? The Canes?
Yeah.
And Warren Sapp, too, I believe. He was a teammate of The Rock, Warren Sapp.
A lot of people play. The U is a football factory, just like Oklahoma is and Alabama and stuff. BC, though, there's so many memorable wins against BC against the Canes.
Is that where Flutie's from?
Yes.
With the Hail Mary, right?
Yep.
He's a legend in the CFL. And I know he's legends in the BC, but he's a legend in the CFL. Might be the best quarterback to ever play in the CFL.
It's going to be fun to watch, college football again and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it'll be better. I would think it'll be better next year because there won't be any I don't think there'll be as many cancellations, and I think we'll see. But we won't see Trevor Lawrence next year because I think he's entering the draft, and I'm pretty sure Josh Fields is going to enter the draft, and I think they're going to go 1-2 in the NFL draft. Lawrence is definitely going to go to Jacksonville. He's going to be Tony Khan's biggest addition, bigger than anybody in AEW. No offense, I like AEW, but football is bigger.
I want to be able to sit back and watch John and Jesse literally trash talk about college football, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, Toronto Argonauts. Played it for 2 years.
Jesse is a huge Ohio State fan, rightfully so. John lives in South Bend, which I want to see a genuine old school rivalry and go in there. Hell, I would be enjoying Michigan versus Ohio State, like the old school days where like you had Charles Woodson in there and you had so many great talent there. It's hard to get those matches now. I mean,
yeah, because Michigan hasn't been like really good, man. Michigan has been like either good or bad, and they've mostly been bad lately. Is that, if I'm correct?
Yeah, it's the same thing with basketball, college basketball. I would love to see North Carolina and Kentucky. I would love to see UConn come back strong and not dominating like they used to with the women's there. I would love to see like the old school, kind of like get in down and dirty kind of thing where they used to dominate for a few years and then just gone. If I'm old enough to remember when UMass was number 1 in the rankings because of Marcus Camby. So I mean,
Marcus Camby, former draft pick of the Raptors, number 2 overall. behind
Yeah, I
Iverson.
remember that.
We got screwed on that draft, man, because we won the lot. I'll tell you history. You know, when the Iverson draft, the Toronto Raptors won the lottery, but since the year before was expansion year, they're not allowed to pick first overall. So we got Marcus Camby second overall. So we got screwed.
Not my fault. I didn't do it.
But we traded Camby for Oakley, and you know Oakley helped the Raptors for a few years, and Oakley's one tough motherfucker, man. You don't want to mess with that guy.
But look at it this way: you had a trade off. You got Camby, and then you got Carter a few years. A few years later.
McGrady, then Carter, and then
but it's still it evened out.
Yeah.
But I want these genuine college rivalries that I literally cannot. You know, I gotta sit there and watch for hours on end and just enjoy it.
Oh yeah, you hear about this? Got fired. Steve Sarkisian.
Damn.
Yeah, it's today. Happened today.
I'm just so surprised Joey Porter came back. I mean, not Joey Porter. Alex Porter came back as manager.
I'm not surprised at all. I think all along he was going to come back.
I thought they would stay away from him for a while, just to, you know, it's kind of like he's a nuclear heat because of everything and stuff. But we'll see. I mean, a lot of those players are happy he's back, but they need a lot of stuff to be fixed. And the new the new president of operations, or whatever he's called, that they got from Tampa, I want to see what happens first before I make any judgment on that, because he's already hot. They're already got a couple of acquisitions, but I mean, it's early. We got a month before spring training kicks in. We don't know what they're going to do.
If they get spring training kicking in, I hope they do. I hope they start spring training. If they get the volunteer workouts, the pitchers and catchers arrive, I hope in February, because, you know, if they Boston, like Toronto, is in Florida, right? So in Florida, is that a state you trust with right now? I don't know. I hope they get everything fine for spring training.
I'm just hoping that we get good sports for a while, because honestly, the only thing that's piqued my interest for the most part is wrestling for everything. But I'm hoping, you know, other than college football, I'm interested in the hockey East more so, just because of how great it's been for the last few years. You've had BC and BU heating up that rivalry. I want to see Michigan do well in hockey. You know, all these great teams that they could have.
You need rivalries in
and you need just in general. I mean, when's the last time you saw? And if Sean's still listening and he wants to answer this, when's the last time you had Kentucky and North Carolina be like top? It had to be a must-see on CBS, you know, at night to watch. I mean, it's been a long, long time, and I want that. I want that prime time, you know, old school Ohio State Michigan match. I want that, you know, Notre Dame versus, you know, Boston College, like it was back in the day, where literally people around here were BC Irish fans and literally just wanting to just brag about it. Want that instantaneous, like, oh, that's like Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, Ron, but still.
Juan, don't remind Sean. He knows all too well how bad Kentucky is.
I mean, I want that old school, down and dirty. You and your friends talk crap about all this stuff.
Even if they're trash, they're still a team that people would want to watch.
Yeah, I want that rivalry again. I want that feeling like exactly. I have to sit down. It's like me and my friends have to have a must see and watch. If Boston, like this is NHL, and we know how big the Boston Montreal rivalry is. If Montreal suck, it's still a must watch between Boston and Montreal. It doesn't matter how good or bad a team is. The game I saw last year in February was against Nashville. That was a good game. That the thing about it is that Ron, stop. Yeah, but all your Florida teams for hockey kind of stink. So, I mean, yeah, you had a Tampa, but...
And I think they're the favorite to win the East again. It's either division, they're going to dominate division.
Yeah, but I mean, if the Bees have their heads screwed on right, nobody can touch them. It look at last year before the pandemic hit. Nobody could touch them. They were number one number one, and the layoff hurt them. Let's be blunt. If they
Yeah,
didn't
that
have
also
that
that hurt
layoff,
some teams. You're right.
if that layoff didn't hurt it wasn't there. That last year was their year. Like let's be very honest. I'm not making any excuses. If the season ended and the rules were right there and then, everybody was joking around about, oh, well, look, the Bees won the championship because it goes to the people who had the highest point total. Boston had the highest point total as of March, end of March, before they shut down. And
Yeah.
if the pandemic didn't hit and they ran through everything like they were, the Stanley Cup could have came back to Boston since the first time in a while. And it'd be great. I mean, in this century alone, and this is a proven fact, this Boston has won in all major sports, not counting MLB and not counting MLS, college and stuff, is because obviously Boston hockey teams for college kind of dominates for the most part.
That's true.
Have won 12 championships over 20, we'll say 20 years. How many cities in the country can you say have won 12 titles in all major four sports over a 20-year period? The closest you would have to do would be the Yankees, and that was it.
I mean, LA is close because LA has, in the last 20 years, the Dodgers just won. They won multiple championships from 2000 in basketball. The Kings won 3 or 2, I believe 2. But I believe they have not won in anything in NFL. So LA might be the closest, but Boston's still ahead of them by a margin.
6 championships in football.
Yeah.
4 championships in baseball. You have, so there's 10 just alone between 2 teams. And then you have the 08 championship against LA, which that let's be honest, that's going to go down in history. And then you have like was it 11 or 13 no, it was 11 that they won the Stanley Cup. And
Boston 11, yes, 11.
Yeah, and then that's all you have. And then if you want to throw the college stuff in there for hockey and stuff, there's no one touching them. No one's touching the city if you add the college hockey stuff. I think BU and BC for a while period of time, for about a 5-year span, was for number one winning, the college hockey championship. The Frozen Four, winning that out, they were literally passing the championship back and forth over certain parts. Freaking Rock! I just had
you can't. Rock. The Rock cannot buy a college football team. It's owned by the University College. He can't buy that. He could donate, but he cannot buy.
Ron's trying to point out the big stars, Ron Simmons and stuff. Hey, we have Matt Ryan sitting at the sidelines at BC games. We have Kofi at BC games. You have Charlie McAvoy literally goes to BU games when he has time. I mean, these guys go to all the places they used to go to school and stuff like that. I mean, come on, it's gonna be the same.
Well, I'm gonna have to end it here because it's been over an hour. I like that. I usually like to go 45 minutes to an hour. So plug your stuff.
We do a show every Tuesday. Aaron will probably be popping in if he wants to. He's always welcome to. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. Talk about wrestling on a daily basis in life. You never know who might pop in. Jobber popped in. It was great seeing him. Aaron is always welcome to be on. Ron Patel. This year is going to be a fun year, hoping to get 3 roundtables that I'm very hopeful to get. It all depends on schedules and availability and stuff, but we'll see what happens. The February will be a big month because I'll be 40, God help me. And that week we'll be doing
it's a milestone, man.
Yeah, milestone. I'm gonna start working on it. I'm gonna do picture retrospective of me growing up and stuff up to, the first show, and, go from there. But yeah, 8 o'clock every Tuesday on youtube.com/throwback27. Also check out the podcast. We do one every Saturday. We released a year retrospect for 2020 with Rob Wilkins. Yeah, that was great. Just that usually it's released every Saturday, so check that out. But if you want to hit me up on Twitter, it's throwback978. Other than that, you'll see that beautiful face over that way or whatever way it is. Also on Tuesdays, because Aaron, you always are welcome anytime. You know that.
Yeah.
So
I might join you this Tuesday. I got nothing planned.
why don't you just come on anyways? We'll start it and we'll have fun. Just do it like this. So
that's Throwback. Check out his stuff. He does a great job.
Yeah, and try.
I haven't set up anything for my next shows next week, but I'm gonna do It's All About Wrestling this Monday. I don't know what to talk about. I'll probably do a weekly review, but check up some wrestling news, but mostly WWE news, AEW news.
Well, it's also a big week of wrestling because you have
Wrestling Kingdom.
You have Wrestling King. You got that going on. I'm
not gonna watch it live.
I
can't watch it live at that time. I'm not gonna be awake at 3:00 a.m. I'll watch it. I'll watch it when I get up. I'll get ready, and then that's the first thing I'll do. Just watch it.
I'll probably hit up Warren and ask Warren about it, and he'll let me know. But you've got so many good matches on that card. Also, you have, New Year's Evil on Wednesday.
I'm doing a live stream for that on Wednesday, like 2 or 3 p.m. Yeah.
That's not till like later on that night.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it earlier because you know what? I used to do how most people do predictions for pay-per-views and stuff.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 days. Like Warren likes to do it the Saturday before. I like to do my videos, making predictions on the actual day because things could change. Right? Things could change. Like remember Night of Champions? There was things changed that night. So that's what I like to do on the day of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, if you want somebody to pop on with you, I'm down. I'm off Wednesday.
So I'm doing New Year's Evil. I might hit you up. I might hit up more people for New Year's Evil. Because I got the basic StreamYard for a month. I'm trying out for a month to see what it's like. So I could do for more than 20 hours a month. So that's why I'm doing it.
The plan for me is once the new channel is launched, and we're still trying to figure that out. And I got to sit and talk to Rob about it some point.
Yeah, hey Tim, you're just about to come in at the end. Sorry, buddy.
But when the new channel gets launched and stuff like that, we're gonna do a lot of stuff, and like what you do, we'll have different people coming in and stuff. But I'm looking forward to this year because it's gonna be different. It's gonna be fun, and then. May 26th, dude, 1 year anniversary of Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, dude. Oh. And that's going to be something I have to figure out. And I'm going to start working on that eventually here and there. But I do have 2 people who agreed to be on a roundtable for future. So I'm hoping to pull that. I have to ask another person, and then I have some surprises picked in. I have a friend of mine who's a huge wrestling fan that's going to be on the podcast side of it. He's very shy picture-wise, but we'll see. 2021 is going to shape up good for both of us. Yeah. Like I tell people all the time, check your stuff, check mine, check everybody, show some love. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah. The next Thursday is all about the pop. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about for next Thursday because really there's nothing major in the movie or entertainment world right now. And my last episode was only 35 minutes long because there's really nothing to talk about in the entertainment world right now.
Well, there is right in anime wise is that there's rumors going around about Toei Animated and Funimation getting to gear up to having Super come back and start with the Moro arc. If that is the case, then sign me up for that. Okay. There's a lot of good stuff in anime that are being played. High School DxD is still up in the air. They don't know what they're doing with that for season 5 yet. Um, there's so many good animes that I've been watching recently, especially with the pandemic. Asterisk War is, I'm waiting to see what happens with that if they do another season. We don't have Attack on Titan anymore, so if Toonami needs a spot to be filled, that's great. I mean, there also talks about in the they're going to be doing another Dragon Ball movie.
Really?
Yeah, that was being talked about, and if that's the case, then after
Yeah, sign me
watching the
up for that.
Broly movie,
Dragon Ball is my favorite anime. Dragon Ball Z, my favorite anime of all time.
So I mean, a lot of that stuff is well worth it. So I mean, I want to see certain animes do really well and come back. And some of the ones that I've been watching that are like once even on Hulu or Food War has 5 seasons on there, but on Hulu there's only 2. I'm like, I want to see the next 3 seasons and not on subtitles because I'm getting really, really tired of watching subtitles.
Yeah. And so it's all about the pop Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, maybe 2 p.m. It's usually some days I have it at 3, some days I have 2. I'll decide a day or two before. And Robby Love Sports episode 11 next Saturday. We'll see what the week has in store. We'll go over the playoff matchups if anybody wants to join us and give prediction for playoff matchups in the NFL. And yeah, that's basically it for this week, upcoming week. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming, listening, and give this video a thumbs up. Recommend it for your friends, family, whoever. I don't care, anybody. Just recommend it. And so thank you for all joining me.
Yeah, subscribe to his channel, and also check out mine. And also, the more positive feedback, like Sean says, the better everything gets better over time. And then I'm going to be watching the hard launch with the Twitch tonight, and you're probably going to be doing the same.
Oh yeah, I'll plug that. If you know Fightful, check out Fightful. Check out Fightful Twitch. I don't know the exact link. I'll find a link for you guys for Fightful's Twitch, but check them out. They've been testing it, and so far it's good. And
I think it's Fightful Gaming TV on Twitch.
Okay, and when they get, they should be able to have subs now. If they reach the level for is it affiliate? If it's affiliate, they should be able to let people sub for them. So if that's up, sub. Just follow them right now. But if the sub is up, sub for Fightful Gaming.
I'm waiting for Ron to draw on a bit of $100 as soon as that thing goes up.
I'll get Tim in here after the stream because we're about to end. So thank you for all joining me. So have a good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Just have a good day. Thank you.